Hey gang, we're going to replace the fuel line. The old fuel line was bad when I thought it wasn't. Parts of it are good, but the important parts were bad. In fact, the filter was just floating around in the bottom of the tank. It's a common thing. This is just going to show you how to get your fuel lines in your tank, because they are press fit into these two small holes. So get the appropriate size fuel line and then cut a very steep diagonal line on the end of your fuel line. The reason you do that is so that you can get that fuel line started in the hole. And then my favorite tool in the shop are my hemostats. So that's what we're going to use to grab those lines. One needs to be long enough to go to the bottom of the tank, which you can't see. Hang on. Let's turn it around. You want one line that's going to be able to go to the bottom of the tank, and that's going to have your filter on it. The other one is just a pressure line to pressurize the tank from the primer bulb. So when you're looking at your carburetor, you have two inlets. The top inlet is from the primer bulb that introduces pressure into the tank. So that will be one hole, and you only need to run that line in maybe quarter inch, half inch, not a lot, so that it can pressurize the tank. And then that line that is on the body of the carburetor is the one that will get the long line and the fuel filter. So let's go ahead and stick this first one in. It'll just be the pressure line to pressurize the tank. You just take it and start it in the hole. Get this turned over. You just start it in the hole. I don't know how well you guys can see that. You pull it back out. You can see there it's enough that you can get it started, and then using your hemostats, whichever pair you need, just look down in the hole there and grab that fuel line with your hemostats. And start pulling. And as you pull, you will pull the line up and out. Now what you want to do is nip the end of that off where you cut the diagonal, and then pull that line back into the tank. Now some of them will have a little plastic barb that you can shove down in there, and then you can pull that line all the way back until the line gets snug in the hole. This particular one doesn't, this particular engine doesn't have that. So be real careful when pulling it back out. And you just want to pull it until you've got about half of an inch or a quarter inch still in the tank. So that's our first one. And then it is going to go, I keep having to move this around to show you, it is going to go right there. So you want just a little bit of a loop so that you're not going to stress that line. You can see right there. I'm right next to the fitting. So you'll want to cut that so that you can slide that line as far up on that as you can. So I'm just going to go with right there. Snip. And slide it right on there. And push close to the fitting, and as you, because if you're too far away, it is not going to move. There we go. That is line number one fitted. Line number two is just as easy. You do the exact same thing. You cut your angle, nice good steep angle on it. And again, the reason that you're doing that is so you can get it in the hole far enough to get a hold of it with your little hemostats. And I'm failing miserably at getting it. Look, there we go. Okay, and then do the same thing. You'll just poke that through the next hole. So that it gets started. And again, get back down in there. And it can be tricky to grab a hold of them. And there is another way to do this. And perhaps on the pull-on I'll be able to show you how to do it that way. It's being tricky. If you can't do it that way, and I'm just showing you this because you can do it one of two ways. You can come in and feed it from the inside of the tank, but that's not, to me, it's not as easy as doing it this way. Well, I'm touching it, but I'm not getting a hold of it. I'm not holding my tongue right. There, we got a hold of it. And you pull it out. Nip your end off like you did before, so that you've got a flat square end on it. In this particular one, with the fuel filter, it has a little retention spring. So put the retention spring on first, and it's kind of a cone shaped. So you want to put the cone, the small end of the cone, on first, then press your filter on, and hold on to that, because if you let go of it you're going to end up losing it down in the tank. Pop your filter on, and make sure your filter goes all the way home, all the way to the base. And if you have troubles getting it to press on that much, you can introduce just a tiny little drop of oil or other lubricant to help you get that to go where you need it. You get it home, and then slide that spring over top of your barbs, just like that. Now what we need to do is make sure we've got plenty of line for this to drop all the way to the bottom of that tank. So we're going to make sure we've got plenty of line pulled through, and just drop it in there. And then pull this line back out until that filter stands up. And on the newer tanks you can kind of see them. You can see the filter right here, or you can just look straight down in the hole. But you want enough line so that that filter will stay in the bottom of the tank. Nip that little piece off where you need it. So again, we're going to leave just like we did here. We're going to leave a little bit of slack on it. So we'll cut it off right about there. And slide it on. That's it. You have now just installed fuel lines on your weed eater. It's not difficult. You guys saw I went from start to finish, and it took me a whopping, I need to get my hand over, 9 minutes. So, and talking in the meantime. So there you go. That's how you replace your fuel lines. This is your friendly neighborhood Zippo. If you like this, do me a favor over here, smash that like button for me. We'll see you guys on the next one.